join us.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm seat closest to you.
Yes, please, please. And you can scoot over, James. We won't bite. Snack won't bite. He's well trained. Hey, so that piece, how many of you guys recognize that piece?
It's okay.
Really?
It's okay. It was an avant-garde piece by a man named DJ Snake and Justin Bieber. Let Me Love You. And it's super special to me because I like pop music. I'm a classically trained violist, but I like...
A recent Juilliard graduate.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm free. I can see the light. It's beautiful. And yes, so I've always grown up around other styles of music, pop being one of them. And I think that all music has an inherent intrinsic quality, and it's all valuable. So that's why I decided to start with a pop piece.
Well, I love that you did. But I got another question, actually.
Okay.
Why viola? Right? Like, for those of you who might not be familiar with this, in the classical music world, and I'm classically trained, what we do for fun is make fun of viola, like all the time.
Yeah. No, we're the awkward middle children of the string family.
Do you have a good viola joke, like your favorite?
Yeah. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my favorite one. It's actually kind of funny. I was on tour with the Sphinx Virtuosi, and our concert master broke his E string during the concert, so he had to run off stage. And we were all kind of standing there awkwardly while he was changing his string, and somebody in the audience was like, "No any jokes?" And so I stood up and told this joke. It was well received. What is the true definition of perfect pitch? Tossing a viola into the trash can without hitting the rim.
Oh, man. So, okay, like, why subject yourself to a life of this?
If you can't laugh at yourself, I mean, what can you do? But it's. I think that this just comes from somebody has to be a scapegoat. Somebody has to be the person that people make fun of, and I think that's why I gravitated to the viola. I like doing things that most people don't like to do. When I was 12 years old, in 6th grade, that's when I started playing. We had our first class. It was led by a woman named Amanda Sellers. And we had a 40-minute long instrument petting zoo where everybody got to try the different instruments. I tried all of them, but what happened was, after the whole session had ended, we all sat down in a big old circle. And we went around the circle saying which instrument we would pick. And everybody was picking violin, 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 cello, bass, cello, bass. Nobody picked viola. So the mindset that I had when I was a 12-year-old was that of a hipster. So I wanted to pick something that was my own, something that was inherently the underdog. And I've never looked back since.
Well, that's awesome. And, you know, as someone who's picked this underdog instrument, what's interesting to me is with this underdog instrument, you are navigating these two worlds, right? To go back to our theme of between two worlds. You seem to have a very deep understanding and training, obviously, of classical music, and a love and a passion and great skills in the pop world. So often we think of these two genres as being very different, right? Classical, I know in my experience, it's often been about technique, execution, perfecting that craft, whereas pop is a lot about personality and entertainment. What do you think are some of the things that these two genres have in common?
Well, the biggest thing I think they have in common is the human connection that is engendered whenever you play music. And I think a big common misconception in classical music is that it shouldn't have personality. You should be a direct translator of the composer's ideas. And I think that's erroneous because who wants to just sit there and listen to the same Mendelssohn violin concerto over and over and over and over again? I know I don't. So I think the value of both pop and classical, the way the Venn diagram comes together, is that the person telling the story has to tell a story. They don't read from a script. They actually create something that's somewhere in between where the canon of the performance is and between where the composer intended. Because if you go to any pop concert, it doesn't sound like the CD. Like, there's a lot of improv, there's a lot of different elaboration, there's sing-along with the audience, and I think that also happens in an understated way within classical music. There's a big connection.
Well, now that we've heard you play some pop, I wonder if we might be able to get you to play a classical piece.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah? Tell us about this next piece.
Okay, so this next piece is a piece called Capriccio por alto sol. And it was written by the Belgian virtuoso violinist and composer, Henri Vieuxtemps. And what's really funny is that Vieuxtemps was a virtuosic composer and violinist, but he was also a rival of Niccolo Paganini. I'm sure you're familiar with Paganini?
He really changed the game for string playing for violin.
Oh, man, he was like Jimi Hendrix. He was just killing it. And he didn't play with his teeth, I don't think. I don't think there is. But anyway, they have a rivalry, they had a friendship. And then one day, Paganini died. And Henri Vieuxtemps was struck by a sense of helplessness, agony, and just, he didn't know what to do with his emotions. So he wrote a piece, and I love this. He wrote it for the viola. He was a dabbler in the viola, as we like to say. And he opted to write it for my instrument rather than a violin. And it's called Capriccio por alto sol, with the subtext of Homage a Paganini.
I can't wait. Snack really liked that one a lot.
I felt him nibbling at my heel there.
He sort of let out this sigh, like this sorrowful sigh. So, like, one thing, I've often thought about with animals, do animals feel emotion, right? That's like a question that's been circulated. But there's no question that all humans feel emotions, right? And I think one of the things that I've heard you speak about is the power of music to connect us through emotion. And just earlier with James, we were talking about hope and the importance of hope. Tell me a little bit about hope and the role of hope in your life.
Well, when you feel like Henri Vieuxtemps felt when he wrote that piece, it's very important to also have a little glimmer of hope so you don't give up, so you don't fall into that bottomless abyss.
Well, what's interesting about what you're saying is you actually are, I think, extraordinary in this way, because often when I speak with my classical music colleagues, we don't have a lot of hope for the future of classical music. But you've got a lot of hope for the future of classical music. Tell me about that.
Well, think about it. Okay, so did you know that there are over 108 billion people who came before us? It seems like a really high number, but it's true. And the one thing that connects us to them is the human experience. It's archetypal. It hasn't changed. The only thing that has changed is the context. And just like how pop, country, rock, they all, especially when they have words, we all connect with that because we've gone through that breakup, or we've gone through that heartache, or we've gone through that amazingly joyful moment. But I think classical music, the reason why it is still relevant and will always be relevant is because it is the purest form of the embodiment of that human experience. And I mean, I've recently gone through lots of heartache and breakups. So when I listen to Brahms, I'm like, I know what you were talking about, dude. Like, Clara, oh man. Like, I totally get it. And I feel like I'm connected. You know what I mean, right? It's a struggle. We're all on the struggle bus. But then when I listen to wonderful pieces like Johann Sebastian Bach's Prelude to his first cello suite, I feel the hope, I feel the pastoral nature, I feel the openness, the true essence of compassion and sharing. And when you look at music as an overall spectrum, everything matters. But classical music does it in a way that no other genre does.
I love that. And that piece specifically, I think, is kind of an embodiment of hope. I hope that is playing on the struggle bus, because that piece could help a lot of people out. I wonder if you might be willing to play some of that.
Yeah? For sure. Let's do it.
Thank you.
turn it to his